I give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha Rakak Kwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which ruled great millstone well, which taught us the truth, which taught me the truth. Yahweh Shai is the truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babal. So I came across this post. It says, and yes, it is reasonable to get an abortion because you're not financially ready. Which this woman looks like a Jake, all right? And when I say Jake, I'm talking about a descendant of Jacob. The descendants of Jacob are the Israelites, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery. But as you can see, the wicked, the so-called white race, they have corrupted the whole world, starting with the woman. All right, it says underneath, okay, also I need to clarify that any reason is reasonable to get an abortion. So this is the wickedness that the Edomites have corrupted the world with. All right, which this is the same custom of the ancient Egyptians. This is why you got a pyramid on the back of the dollar. This is why they have Egyptian symbols in their capitals of the United States, because America is spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom. All right, and they have corrupted the minds of the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, which been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right, it says in 2nd Ezra 15, verse 1, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people, the Israelites, the words of prophecy, which were telling you what's going to happen. All right, these people need death. All right, you can't reason with a person like that. You can't negotiate with them. You can't persuade them to think right. And the only thing that's going to correct that wicked mentality is death. All right. These modern women, they need death and to start over, especially the Jake women. All right. And the wicked, they need to be made extinct. All right. So that they do not corrupt the earth again. And this is the prescription for the earth. Yahweh has prescribed when he sends his son Yahweh Shai. All right, it's going to take place, which I will put, forgive me, this thing popped up. It says, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So this is the word of the Lord. Now, Esau don't like it. Too fucking bad. Fuck Esau. And fuck the other nations. All right? It says, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Verse 4, for all the unfaithful, so fuck the unfaithful Israelites too, shall die in their unfaithfulness. So once again, Yahweh said these people need death. All right? It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, which they polluted the earth, the wicked, the so-called white race, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. You can see that they destroyed the people. It says in verse 10, behold, my people, the Israelites, is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, America. Look at the back of the dollar. Look at the monuments in your capitals. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues. He's going to put these people to death in many different ways, as before, which he done in ancient Egypt, and will destroy all the land thereof. So that's talking about America. America is going to eat nuclear missiles and be turned into a lake of fire. And these reprobate Israelites, all right, they're going to be in that fire because they're deceived. It says, woe to the world and them and them that dwell therein. For the sword, the so-called white race, the wicked that rule the world, and their destruction draweth nigh, which the Jake that are in bed with Esau, that think like Esau, they're going to be destroyed with Esau. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, which the allies and enemies of America is going to shoot nuclear fire on this great whore, America, and burn her with nuclear fire. It's going to be turned into a lake of fire. It says in Wisdom of Solomon 12, all right, it talks about the evil things that ancient Egypt did, all right. It says, verse 3, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land, which were Canaan, whom thou hatedst for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feast of blood, which these devils are doing this witchcraft here in America, and they taught it to the world. So the Lord's going to destroy them, all right, and this time by nuclear fire, all right. Now in verse 18, it says, in verse 4, it says, For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy son shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world, which the Israelites, the light is with the Israelites. All right, but just like we were enslaved in Egypt, we are enslaved in America in spiritual Egypt. It says, and when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, which they murdered the babes of the Israelites today through abortion, one child being cast forth and saved to reprove them, which was Moses, thou tookest away the multitude of their children with plagues, and destroyed them altogether in a mighty water, which they pursued the Israelites, and were crushed in the Red Sea, which you could look it up. The Edomite scientists report of finding Egyptian chariots in the Red Sea. All right, so we have a sure word of prophecy, and you Israelites would do well to take heed. He's going to destroy the wicked, and this time by nuclear fire. He's going to destroy it by its allies and enemies shooting nuclear missiles on this place, this great whore, Babylon the Great, after the world is made mandatory to take a implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, under the so-called white race. All right. It says in verse 7, so of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies, which is happening today with the Israelite elect. We're accepting the salvation in Yahushua, our Savior, and the destruction of our enemies, which our enemies today, the so-called white race, Esau, Edom, the wicked that have corrupted the earth, and the other nations, they're going to be destroyed by Yahushua's return. All right. Obadiah, verse 15. Let me go to the KJV. Verse 15. It says, For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Which it tells you about Esau's judgment in Psalm 137 and verse 7. Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom, which are the so-called white race today that corrupted the whole earth, in the day of Jerusalem, which they burnt our temple and slaughtered our people with the Assyrian Babylonians. who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, which is America, the great whore, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us, which they murder our babies. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. So everything you've done unto us, you have to receive. Obadiah, verse 16. It says, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, the Israelites, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. All right? America is going to be destroyed by nuclear fire, turned into a lake of fire, and the earth is going to shake from that judgment. And the heathen that survive outside of America, they're going to go into slavery. And we're going to have the heathen as slaves, all right, for 1,000 years. But then Edom, the so-called white race, is going to be made extinct. It says in 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, starting with the elect, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, which the majority of Jacob is going to die. All right, here in America, they're deceived, and they're going to die and be in that lake of fire because they received that implantable microchip. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, extinction, for Yahweh has spoken it. Verse 21, and saviors, the elect of Israel, shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, which we're doing through these videos according to the word of Yahweh. And the kingdom shall be Yahweh's, which he's going to save us through sending his son Yahushai. He's going to send his son Yahushai to save us from the second death, the judgment that was ordained for the devil, the so-called white man, and his angels, his military. All right, which happened back in the past to Pharaoh and his military when they pursued the Israelites through the Red Sea. They were crushed by the mighty water, which crushed them. This time is fire. All right. He's going to crush Pharaoh and his military, talking about King of Babylon and his military, which America controls the whole entire world. They rule over the European Union, which they have NATO. They rule over the UN, right? And those are the blue helmets. And then you got BRICS, which is the enemies of this great whore, and they're all going to shoot nuclear missiles on America, which is going to cause the earth to shake at the return of Yahushai and their military that's gathered in the Valley of Slaughter, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where Yahweh's judgment will take place. The mountain of troops that are gathered in that land, they're going to be evaporated there, according to 2nd Ezra 13. We have a sure word of prophecy, and you Israelites would do well if you took heed. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Wa abab abal.